Hi folks, I'm Rab. I'm a producer and music supervisor for ALIBI Music. If you're a video editor or a content creator, cutting to music is probably a critical part of your creative process, and so is finding that music. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to find production music and sound effects like a professional. In addition to my work for ALIBI as a music supervisor, I've been a video editor for over a decade, cutting everything from film, TV, and video game trailers to films that premiered at the Cannes Film Festival. I've cut with many different types of music for all kinds of projects, and I've tried a lot of different services to source that music. So based on all that experience, here is how to find good music for your video projects. Option 1 is have a ton of money, pay somebody to track down the sync rights for whatever music you want, or pay for a custom score. If that's you, first of all, congratulations. Feel free to reach out to our production team. We can get a composer started on whatever you want to hear. Option 2, for everyone else who doesn't have Disney money or who can't call in a favor from a composer friend, is to use production music. Production music or library music is just a term for compositions that are written for use in media, but are not custom made for your project. As a result, they cost far less than having a custom soundtrack made or licensing a track from a record company. This type of music is literally everywhere. Chances are there's more production music in what you're watching than original scores or music licensed from artists. Because so much of this music is used, there are many, many different places where you can get production music and sound effects for your project. My personal favorite, after literal years of use, is ALIBI Music. And I would have told you that before I started working here, but we'll get more into that later. Before you even start looking for music, make sure the library you use owns 100% of the rights to its music worldwide. Some libraries act as sub-publishers, meaning they can sell you tracks that they don't actually own. This isn't illegal or anything, but if you run into a allow listing or other usage issues related to copyright, they can't help you fix those problems, and you might be stuck tracking down the rights holder yourself or having to take down your video. Getting music from a library that owns 100% of the rights to its music also protects you from additional fees after you use a track. Without getting too deep into the legal weeds, it saves you from getting an email somewhere down the road after your video is published where someone says, "Hey, I own part of this music, so you owe me for using it." If that's the case, you would still legally owe that rights holder for using the music, even if you'd paid someone else already. So just confirm that the music source that you're using owns 100% of the rights worldwide to the music that you're using, and you won't have to worry about this. Once you've found a source you trust, there's one other thing you need to consider before you even start a music search, and that is get a sense of what you're looking for. I know it sounds obvious, but if you dive into a music catalog just looking for something cool or cinematic, you will suffer a lot. Because those search terms mean wildly different things to different people and in different projects. So unless you want to be listening and searching for hours just feeling it out, get as specific as you can with what might work in your edit. Even if you're not musically inclined, that's okay. Look at another project that has the tone you're looking for and then pay specific attention to the music that's being used. Take note of things like the musical genre, the instruments being used, the speed of the track, and use what you like as a jumping off point for your own music search. Also keep in mind what absolutely won't work or what you don't like. That will also be helpful later. Now that you've got some specific musical direction, you're ready to jump into your search. And this, for me, is where ALIBI hooked me in the first place. The music itself is great, but finding it is easier here than any other service I've used over the years. I'm going to show you a sample search based on a real brief that was sent in. And keep in mind, all of the search tools that you're about to see are the ones used by ALIBI's professional music supervision team, but the same search engine is available to users on the website. I picked a tricky search to show you here. This came in from one of our trailer clients. They're using 3 pieces of music in their spot. They need to switch out one of them, and that piece of music needs to match with what they've already got in the cut. I also don't have much to go on in terms of descriptors. It is a trailer, as I mentioned. It is epic and sort of big sounding, which I know is not a great descriptor, and it skews dark as many trailers often do. So based on that, enter in those search terms. And you'll see in ALIBI's library, this is a lot of music. That's 57 pages. That would take a lot of time to go through. So rather than digging through all those, I'm going to go back to the music, which I can't play you for copyright reasons, and to help find us stuff that matches, I'm going to add what I know I don't want in this music in order for it to match best with what's already there. So there is no guitar in the reference. There is nothing holiday related, nothing country influence. There are no hip hop beats. It's not particularly synth heavy. Stomps and claps. Those are also not in the reference, so let's add those and remove any search results that have those features. And now we're down to just 14 pages, which is much easier to go through. And we'll take out pirates as well because it's not a pirate movie, so let's just get rid of those too. 14 pages is still a lot, so let's see if we can get this list down any further. Something else that I got from the brief is that the key of this new track needs to match the two existing tracks. The two existing tracks are in A minor, so using the search tools here, I'm going to take us to A minor and limit the search results by key. And look at that, we're down to 2 pages of suggestions. And even though the initial search was vague, we were able to get down to a manageable amount of music to review by using filters and a negative search tool. At Alibi specifically, you can also use this tap tempo tool to filter search results based on the BPM of a reference track. You just click to the beat of the reference in order to calculate the BPM. I use this a lot when I'm trying to replace a track that an editor has already cut to. If the BPM of the new song is similar or the same as the old one, more of the cuts that they made to the rhythm of the first track will still work for the second and save them some re-editing time. I also use the lyric search tool a lot, especially for things like ads, because producers are often looking for songs with specific words or phrases included to match a campaign or that feel specific to the subject of the commercial. There are additional filters, which are all pretty self-explanatory, and if you really want to, you can even upload a file or paste a YouTube link to Alibi and do an AI-driven sound-alike search. We don't typically recommend this because, quite honestly, AI algorithms are not great at matching musical emotion or tone. You might get something close by chance every once in a while, but it's going to latch onto things like the instruments it perceives and the tempo rather than how the track makes you feel when it's finding sound-alikes. But there it is just in case. Once you find something you like, Alibi also offers a lot of additional options for each track to save you time. Every piece of music released in the past decade has stems available, so cues are fully customizable to fit the scoring needs of any project. But there are also pre-made alternate mixes, a drum and bass edit, instrumentals where applicable, a drum-free mix, a rhythm-forward mix with less melodic elements, and a very minimalistic mix. There's even a holiday mix for almost everything in the library. I find the alt mixes particularly helpful because I can edit them together in order to make the music build exactly where I want it to in my cut. Alt mixes may also be better suited for whatever you're underscoring in the first place rather than the full mix. For example, the rhythm mix of a track might compete less with dialogue, but maintain the pace and flow that's working for you. On top of all that, each type of mix has a 30, 15, and 5-second cut down. The same search tools and functionality is also included when searching for sound effects and video game loops, which can be searched separately from the main music catalog. All of this is made possible because Alibi puts a massive amount of effort into some very, very boring back-end processes just to make things easier to find. On the back end, there are 270 columns of data for every audio file in this library. We never use AI for this because an algorithm can't understand human emotion or the impact of music in establishing tone. That means that a human being had to sit down and listen to all of it to tag it with accurate keywords to make it searchable. Every track is also carefully labeled so that you actually know what you're listening to before you press play. I know it sounds like a minor feature, but it's shocking how many libraries just label alt mixes something like version A, version B, and version C, and force you to listen to every version in order to figure out what's different about them. I've also seen libraries that label files in ways that confuse their own search engines. For example, an alt mix of a track might be labeled no drums, which sounds helpful at first, unless drums is one of your search keywords. Then, since the word drums is in the file name, you'll get a bunch of no drum mixes in your search when you were specifically looking for drums in the mix. Alibi carefully tags every mix rather than copying and pasting the same metadata onto every version, because the mood and tone of a track can change radically with slightly different instrumentation. Take this for example. So anything in the library, even if a stem alone would be a good fit for your search, will show up in the results. But if you know you don't need all those extra options, you can also limit what mix types are displayed in your search results. In my experience, this level of detail is unmatched, and it makes finding what you need so much easier. Even if you do begin a search without a real sense of what you need, there are thousands of pre-made music and sound effect playlists that you can explore for options and inspiration, or you can search by album for larger groupings of similar options to explore. Finally, I find the quality of Alibi's music higher than other places I've used in the past. And once I started working here as a music supervisor and producer, I found out why. All of this music is written and produced with emotion in mind first. It's created to make you feel something, so that feeling comes through in whatever you're working on. These tracks are also composed with video editors in mind. There are cues with peaks and valleys if you want to cut to music that builds, or carefully written underscore tracks that are arranged to avoid feeling repetitive without drawing attention to themselves. Regardless of the compositional style, every cue has multiple edit points where you can naturally end a track without additional audio editing. And yes, there are also versions without those edit points labeled the radio mixes. No matter what, the alt mixes are always available to help customize the music as needed. We work with a team of over 450 composers in 20 countries to get the most authentic music possible. And if there's something you can't find in the library, we want to know about it so we can start making it. All of this has made Alibi one of the preferred music libraries of companies like Warner Discovery, HBO Max, Fox Networks, Apple TV, Netflix, Amazon, tons of television production companies, ad agencies, basically anyone using music for any type of project you can imagine. If you're so inclined, you can see examples of all of that work on our credits page. Unlike other libraries, none of the tracks in Alibi are off limits to content creators or smaller media producers. You can license music of the same quality that all those big companies are using on whatever you need it for, from podcasts to video games, and pricing is fairly scaled based on the size of your production. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that there's only one place in the world where you can find good music. There's just too many talented composers out there for that to be true. What I will say is that after years of working in the industry as an editor, I've consistently returned to Alibi to score my projects. It was where I told other people to go for music and sound effects long before I started working here. You can head over there now to try out the search and discovery tools for yourself, or register for an account to save playlists and license tracks. Thank you for watching. I hope the information in this video is helpful in tracking down the music or sound effects that you need. Now comes the obligatory closing request. Please like and subscribe. New music is added every day to Alibi's YouTube channel, some of which you may have already heard in the wild, and all of it can be licensed for use in projects of your own at alibimusic.com. Good luck with whatever you're working on next, and happy searching.